We're going to make some bruschetta tonight. Now, last week we did this big roast chicken meal, and this week we're going to do just sort of a simple little bruschetta because we don't want a great big meal tonight. We've got some stuffed mushrooms and to go with it. Here's our nice fresh loaf of bread that we just made. So we're going to start by cutting into it. And look at how beautiful that is, right? Nothing better than a good smell of baking bread in the house. It's the house nice and warm feeling. I'm just going to do a couple pieces so we can show you how to go about this. So basically what you would do is you're going to cut up all your bread and put it on a cookie sheet. Okay, so just pretend we've done all that. And the next thing we're going to do is cut up our tomatoes. Now these are, what the ingredients are: black olives, red onion, fresh parsley, tomatoes, Parmesan cheese, and you need olive oil, salt and pepper, a little sugar, and balsamic vinegar. That's the key ingredient. So we're going to do our tomatoes. Now these are called Campari tomatoes. They're bigger than cherries, but smaller than regular tomatoes. Why I like these for this meal is because they're very meaty. They don't have really big seeds in them. So we're going to cut them up the same way we kind of do an onion. We're going to dice them pretty small. This also is a tomato knife, and I love this knife. It's very sharp. It's a German knife. It has this little pointy thing on the end, so when you do big tomatoes, you can clean out the top of them, and it just cuts them up really good. So we're just going to chop this up. Now you see there's a lot of juice in there. Well, the one thing you don't really want in bruschetta is all that juice, because it makes for a big watery mess. So we cut these up, and then after we're done cutting them, let them sit for a minute, and sort of that juicy stuff kind of runs out, and you're left with basically just, the meat of the tomato, a little bit of juice and a little bit of seed. So we'll do this, and then we'll come back and we'll finish the rest. Okay, you can see I've got a lot of my tomatoes cut up. Now look, see all that juice? You really want that to run out. You don't want that in your bruschetta. So I did snag a little piece of that bread, and it was delicious. So let's just go from here. It probably looks like a good amount of tomatoes. Okay. Take your bowl. And when you do this, just sort of do this. Just sort of empty out all the juice, and a lot of the seeds will fall out and all that stuff that I would normally like if I were just going to pop this tomato in my mouth or put it in a salad. But for this dish, we do want to eliminate it. And we're in March here, so you really can't get great tomatoes this time of year, but we just kind of felt like having this meal, so we're doing it. Normally these would come right out of our garden, and we just do it right, pick them out of the garden and do it right away. Got nice fresh parsley, nice cut up red onion, and some black olives, and you want those cut up too, because what we're going to do, a bruschetta is something, it's like you put it on your bread. Just sort of mix it up. How beautiful, right? Well, I think we really got enough of everything in there. Now, we're going to put in some Parmesan cheese, which I shredded very coarse, very large pieces. You can do it really, much finer if you want, but I kind of like the meatiness of the big pieces of cheese with it. Mix it up. And we're going to let that sit there for a minute, and let that marinate just a few minutes. because we're going to then add some salt and pepper, a little sugar, and the balsamic vinegar. But what I want to show you is the bread. Get some nice, really good extra virgin olive oil. See how green that is? Beautiful color. And you're going to brush it on your bread. You don't need a ton of it, but you really want to cover it good. Okay, and then you just take a little bit of Parmesan, sprinkle it on here. Now you could, in this case, do a little bit finer, but it doesn't matter. Okay, I like the cheese. Let's taste the cheese. Now what we're going to do is pop that in the oven on the broiler, under the broiler, in a low setting, and this cheese will melt. The olive oil will brown a little bit, and then we'll take it out. So we're going to see in a couple of minutes. Okay, so we've got all of our bread with the olive oil on it, and we're finishing up putting this delicious Parmesan cheese on top. And we're going to pop that in the oven. Now just before we pop it in the oven, because this takes like 2 minutes in there, otherwise it'll burn, and you kind of have to watch it. So right before we put that in the oven, we're going to put our finishing touch on our bruschetta. Okay, so we're going to put a little salt, a little pepper, just a little sugar. You know, just helps to sweeten it up a little bit. I'm going to put a tiny bit of olive oil on it. You don't want it too soupy, so be careful. And then our balsamic vinegar. That might be enough. Let's stir it around and see. It looks beautiful, doesn't it? All the cheese and the onions, all the wonderful colors. Okay, so that's going to, marinate a little bit while we've got the bread in the oven. Okay, we'll let that sit. And here we're going to put the bread in the oven. And I can't stress this enough. You really got to watch this because it's like 2 minutes. So we'll put the timer on, but, I mostly just watch it. And because you don't want it to burn. So here we go. This. I'm going to pop those mushrooms back in here just to warm a little bit. And we're going to eat dinner in about 2 minutes. Okay, see you then. Okay, our 2 minutes are up, and it was a little more than 2 minutes. And let's check. Look at that. Beautiful. The cheese is just starting to melt. The bread is just getting a little crispy. And now we're going to put it on our plate. Ooh, it's hot, hot, hot. Funny story. Last summer we had some friends over for dinner, sort of off the cuff sort of dinner. And I was going to do some barbecue chicken, and I said, gee, I'm going to put the chicken on the grill. They said, we're vegetarians. So I immediately, flew to the refrigerator, and I made the bruschetta. I grabbed some tomatoes out of the garden, made the bruschetta. They were so happy, and I had like potato salad and stuff. They were so happy that it was the best bruschetta they ever had. And you know what? It's sad because how embarrassing was that I didn't know that they were vegetarians. Now we've got our stuffed mushrooms here ready. There's a few extra in here because I had made a couple extra before. And I think we're good to go. Don't forget to turn off your oven. There it is. Well, I'm going to have a taste before we sit down to dinner. See. Look at that. Delicious homemade bread. Fresh Parmesan cheese. What could be better? This is what we do. Put your tomatoes on here. Beautiful, right? Mmm. Mmm. Balsamic vinegar, just enough acidity, enough sweetness. It's beautiful. Okay, we're going to eat. See you next time on Cooking with Deb.